So let's get into the topic that I know you want to talk about and I want to talk about. So what really struck me, I know you worked for Ford, and I'd like you to elaborate on that. But one of the things that really struck me that you said is when Tesla hit $1 million in EV sales, that the major U.S. automakers decided to get in the business, and they had one fatal flaw, which was they didn't have the benefit of designing the car around the software, and so they really had to they have put themselves in a difficult position. So could you talk about that and just the reason that you think Tesla will continue to, it's a very unpopular subject post Doge,
Sure.
that Tesla may actually continue to be a leader in the EV space. I love the company. I love the guy. I find him fascinating, but yes, so please tell us what your view on that.
Well, I mean, I worked in the automotive industry, starting in Ford, and then through a couple of different other companies. But I established a sort of a technology consulting company many moons ago that really advises companies on how to implement software-defined vehicles and move into this sort of self-driving space. And we advise a lot of companies, including some of the larger OEMs. One of the things that we have found is that over the years is that most of the larger companies, more traditional based companies, always looked at Tesla more as a novelty. Okay, their production quality wasn't right. They don't know how to manufacture stuff well. They're playing with electricity, and that's not really viable, really. Okay, so it looked as if it was, not really being taken seriously. And then they sort of like start creeping up towards 1 million units a year. And when you get to 1 million units a year, you're a real car company. And especially the speed at which they did it. And they started to solve some of those quality issues. So the car companies really tried to pivot and say, okay, well, how do we get into the game? And with different EV credits coming out from government, etc., it became more and more attractive. The difficulty is that Tesla has been designed ground up as a software company. So they've used what we call a platform approach to software. So you have a platform of hardware, which they produce themselves. You have a platform or an operating system that they produce themselves. And then they have the application and cloud layers, which is how we as human beings interface to it. And they designed that very deliberately from the get-go. Other car companies have a culture around, contracting with suppliers to bring parts in and to bring chips in, and then sort of wireframe them together into a package, and then make that package truly excellent, manufacture it and sell it. The difference is if you try and update one of those combined packages versus a definitively created with deliberate, platform approaches, you can approach a platform in the Tesla. Like Tesla has one compute unit. A modern Lightning may have 110 compute units in it. So if you try and update that, an over-the-air update, you have to update potentially up to 110 modules. If you're updating a Tesla, you're updating one. Okay, so you just look at the complexity there. And also you're able to innovate faster and faster and faster if you've got better software engineers. So that's the competitive advantage that they have. And I agree, Elon is very controversial, says a lot of wild things, but he's incredibly brilliant. And like all brilliant people, he's got some ecocentrics or eccentricities, I guess is the word over here. Yeah, but he's brilliant. But they have delivered and developed a car that has software as its core component.
Yeah, it's an amazing car. My son leased one in Hawaii. He's working for the admiral there in charge of the Pacific Fleet, and
Sure.
I went over at Christmas and I could not get over what a delight it is to ride in. And
also with these updates as well, like the updates will come down, like a friend of mine had an update one evening where the car got about 0.01 or 0.1% faster overnight with a software update. He just woke up, the car came in and said, I did a software update, the car is now 0.1% faster. He was excited about that. His name was Mike, but Mike couldn't tell the difference whether it was 1% faster or not, but he was still excited about the prospect that it could be, you know?
They had me with the Christmas package where the cars are reindeers, and when you turn the
Absolutely.
on, it plays whatever. I can't remember, but yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so one of the things that I was invited, me and a million other people, to We Robot, where the Cybercab was unveiled and Optimus danced through the streets in LA, wherever we were. I think it was the Paramount studio. But were you there for that? I don't know why you
I
were there.
did not go to that. I was actually working with another automotive client at the time, so I couldn't quite leave that client to go to a competitor. It would have been.
Yeah, well, no, understood. But for
Yeah.
me at that moment, and then I've also visited the Megapack factory in Lathrop, California. It seemed to me that this was not a company that was about necessarily selling EVs, except to supplement the volume of data that they have. But also to, what really struck me is that I think Tesla's cost per mile is something like 30 to 40% lower than Waymo. And I live in Waymo land half the year, which is Phoenix. You can't go a couple of feet without, encountering Waymo. So I'm just wondering who you think the winner is, because we own Uber also, we own Tesla, and we own Google. Is there a single winner, or how do you see that space unfolding?
I think first of all, there's over 3 million Teslas on the road, with over 1 million being added to that fleet per year. I think there's 3.3 million. So you're looking at an addressable market of, at the end of this year, 4 million units that potentially could become robotaxis. So, you take a look at Waymo and you go, there's hundreds, maybe thousands at maximum. So you just take a look at the scale, number one, right? Number two, the way Tesla's organized, being a little bit technical, Tesla has a AI compute module in the vehicle that basically drives the vehicle. And then it has another compute module that actually watches the software driving the car. Yeah, it understands driver behavior, it understands what happens, et cetera, et cetera. Multiply that by 3 million units, and you're starting to get real massive data at volume. And that AI core has been, and the learning from that has been part of the core that's been able to be developed into XAI, and that has allowed XAI as an AI platform itself to become one of the leading, if not the leading, AI platforms within 2 years of being launched. That's just straight out of the gate. That's incredible. But it goes to show the power of the learning of the AI platform within the Tesla car. Yeah. So it's been able to accelerate a bunch of different things. When it comes down to robo-taxis, the strategy for Waymo and the strategy for Tesla is radically different. So you're not comparing apples to apples. In looking at the Tesla strategy, you're looking at basically a human style approach. We have weak eyes and a big brain. So in the Tesla, it's a car with basic cameras. So cameras in the front of the car, and then a massive compute in the brain to actually compute what's happening in the vehicle. From there, you're able to kind of drive and do that sort of thing. But it's not expensive material. Waymo, $70,000 Jag with another $80,000 worth of stuff with radar, LiDAR, and cameras attached to it for your unit cost to be about $150,000. Okay,
Yeah.
so you take a $35,000 car or a $30,000 robotaxi, and you compare that to $150,000 unit cost, and there's a difference, right? So right now, if you take a look at Uber, the actual price for your typical Uber ride can be somewhere in the $2 to $3 per mile range. Using this sort of $30,000 car with dumb cameras, I don't want to be, but dumb cameras and a very large AI brain that is being proven and enhanced through the AI platform, plus being proven and enhanced through 3 million cars driving, hundreds of miles per day. You get a very, very reliable system. And the price point for that actual robotaxi, they believe they can get it down to like 15 cents a mile. So if you compare Uber to $2 to $3 per mile to 15 cents, it's an incredible difference. And then if you put the Waymo in on top of that with the very expensive solution, to me, it's just a runaway game. So it's not a matter of who wins the race, it's a matter of who can get to scale quickest.